Okay. Let's add her in. Perfect. Hey,
Hey, how
how
are
are
you?
you? I'm good.
Good. Good.
Yes, yes.
Looking cute. Okay, with the orange hair.
Thank
I
you,
love it.
thank you.
You're welcome.
So you know how lives work. People just gonna
Mhm.
come in and out. So we're just gonna hop into it, and I'll save
Okay.
it to IGTV and upload it to our YouTube as well. So
Oh, okay. Awesome.
yes. All right, so hello and welcome to Freedom Revamp. This is Kourtney, obviously, and today we are going live with Miss Maia St. Aude of She Talks Movement.
Hi, guys.
So for those of you who don't know what Freedom Revamped is, we are a blog and podcast dedicated to helping others discover their sense of freedom and kind of navigate through their freedom journeys. But I want to give Maia an opportunity to talk about She Talks movement and what they stand for.
Okay. Thank you, guys. I'm super excited to be here. I can't wait to um hear what comes, questions that come in. So just a little bit about me. Again, my name is Maia St. Aude. I'm the founder and creator of She Talks Movement, and a little bit about the community. She Talks Movement is by and for women of color. More specifically, we talk a lot about healing, but healing in all aspects of our lives. Healing is the foundation of everything. And we just kind of move from there. So one of the newest things that we will be introducing into our community is financially how that applies in terms of our healing journey and what that looks like. So that is just a little bit about me and the community. Thank you for having me,
Yes,
Kourtney.
yes, thank you for joining. But I absolutely love She Talks. I've been following you guys for a minute now. So having
Mhm.
you on this platform is just super important to me. And the, did y'all still hear me when it paused?
No, I couldn't hear you.
Okay, sorry. So for those of you who don't know, to
Mhm.
be talking, sorry,
It's
people keep
okay.
calling me. But we're going to be talking about mental health and why it is important.
Okay.
So, Maya, I want you to tell us a little bit
Mhm.
about your mental health journey. Like for
Yeah.
me, it's been something that is important to me simply because I went through depression, I've had anxiety. So tell
Mhm.
us a little bit about your mental health journey and, you know, how you kind of navigated through it.
Yeah, that's a great question. Um, or we want to like go as far back in terms of when I was first introduced to mental health and how I kind of knew I needed some counseling and help, or are we going to talk about kind of a little bit later in my life?
Let's
I don't want
talk
to like
about
tell my full story.
let's talk about the beginning, like how you were introduced to it. Let's start there.
Okay. Yeah. So I definitely started becoming more aware in terms of what mental health is and I guess the different triggers that was happening in my life. And for me, I've always been overweight. I've always been darker. I grew up in Pennsylvania. So, of course, I went to a predominantly white school. And so I wasn't ever favored. I never saw my representation in terms of teachers and even in terms of like some of my friends, they were lighter than I was, right?
Hmm.
And I started feeling the effects of that. And again, I grew up in a household that was super pro Black. I mean, Black Panthers as grandparents, like super pro Black. So going into a predominantly white area and you're like, no, like I definitely am beautiful, but you're constantly told, no, you're not beautiful. No, you're
Hmm.
not this, or you're overweight, and you're not as attractive. That was kind of my first indicator, like, wow, this is heavy for me. This is a lot for me. And that's when I realized like your mind has a huge part to play in terms of the way you see yourself and the way you show up in the world. So I know for me, I started wearing a lot of black more to camouflage. It just ended up becoming my favorite color. It is. But I definitely started wearing black a lot more to camouflage my body. Wasn't wearing bathing suits a certain way. Definitely my body confidence and even my confidence, and again, into my skin color, was one of the contributing factors into poor mental health. Then I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia at the age of 16. It's a chronic illness. I'm not going to get into it, but I was diagnosed with that at the age of 16, and I was out of school for 3 months. So imagine being a 16-year-old, you just turned 16, and you're out of school. People are thinking you're pregnant. I mean, so many assumptions just started to arise. And as a 16-year-old, it was a lot for me to take on and to handle. So I didn't tell people I had fibromyalgia. I think not even until I was in college, when I moved down here to Georgia. So again, the weight of that was another thing that kind of piled on in terms of my mental health. And then again, so I got to a really good place when I moved here to Georgia about, going into my freshman year at Kennesaw. And I started doing yoga. I started, definitely taking more heed into my body. I lost a lot of weight and I was feeling really great. And then endometriosis happened in 2018. And that again was like a total downward spiral for me. And I really had so much guilt and so much shame around certain things that I did during that period of time in my life. And again, I went into this hole where I wasn't talking to people. I was isolating from people, and I'm still kind of getting out of that hole. But it definitely, I realized that when I had chronic illnesses and realizing how that kind of was a full circle moment, it all had to do with my body confidence. That has been my trigger. Like if I'm not confident in my body, and living with endometriosis and fibromyalgia, you're bloated, you're tired, you're fatigued. And I mean, it just, my confidence levels just were not there. So that was a heavy contributor in terms of my mental health. I did want to commit suicide March 20th. I was 16. That was like 1 month after I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, because I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And a couple of months ago, I definitely was like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. And this is when I was in the deepest, darkest parts of my endometriosis. And so I did. So I'm very open and honest about suicide and understanding, like, yeah, when you are in extreme amounts of pain, when you feel like you don't have anywhere else to go, that's kind of where my head went. And then I realized, like, you have to do something about it. You have to change.
Yeah. For me, like I said, I struggled with my mental health for a while, and I'm only 19. And in the Black community, it's not something that's talked about, especially for someone who, like me, grew up in church.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, we don't want to touch that subject. But a lot of my mental health and confidence, and really my mental health issues stem from, like you said, confidence.
Yeah.
I didn't really have love for myself simply because I grew up in a single parent household. So my dad wasn't in my life the way I saw my friends' dads in their life. So there was a part of me that always wondered, are my parents not together because of me? And I've heard a lot of other single parent household children say the same thing. It's like, okay, was it me? Was there something I could have done? And just for me, I had to unlearn that there was nothing I could have, like, I'm a child. There was nothing I could have done to make them stay together, or there was nothing I did that made them not stay together. So that was something that I had to learn. But I did want to ask you, what is mental health to you? Like, how do you know when you're in the space that your mental health is good?
Yeah. So mental health in terms of like when I'm being proactive, when I'm good, it's this sense of peace for me and this understanding that I'm gonna have moments where it's like up and down, but I know, and I always say it's about this proactivity. That to me is what mental health is. I was very reactive. So no, I had no idea I was going to be diagnosed with endometriosis or fibromyalgia. But I was very reactive. So I would get aggressive. I would get angry. I would get super loud. But understanding that proactivity to me, right? And in terms of my mental health, is articulating how I feel
Yeah.
when I'm in pain and understanding this is my life. Understanding, people can choose to be a part of this experience with me or not. It's cool, it's fine. But to me, it's about being proactive and understanding, like, okay, yoga works for me. And I had to learn that. I had to learn meditation works for me. I had to learn that working out works for me in terms of my mental health, because it gives me a break from the stimulation of the world, the stimulation of being on your phone, the stimulation of typing and working. And again, I realized, like, what can I do to be as proactive as possible? And that has been what mental health is. What are those things, those tools that I can use when I'm not feeling the greatest?
Awesome. I love that. I think for me, I know that I'm mentally well or that I'm taking care of my
Mm-hmm.
mental health. Like you said, when I'm at peace, when I don't feel the weight of my friends or the weight of my mom or the weight of the world
Yeah.
on me because of 2020. Like I've just been saying that lately, 2020. But so you mentioned tools. I know you mentioned yoga and working out. What are some other tools that you use to help take care of your mental health?
Yeah. So I started scheduling days at the end of the month where I don't, when I'm off of social media, I'm not interacting with people, because I realize I need to recharge and rest. Um, and I don't care. Like, I take off work every single month, because my thing is like, yes, you don't want to be that person to think that you're not replaceable, but even if you're the CEO of a business, you're replaceable, right? And it's this idea that what can you do in order to be the most productive and to be the most energetic when you're going to work and when you're doing the work, and understanding, like, not sludging through your job. So I definitely take off work, off of social media at the end of every single month. Spend time with my family. That's a great one. I'm a movie goer. Like, in my family, anytime shit would hit the fan, we'll watch a movie. Fun fact, we used to watch Rush Hour, and that used to be our movie. Like, I mean, shit would hit the fan, but the minute we watched that, like, as a family, like, all our troubles was gone. That's really weird. But that is something that I love to do. Like, I spent most of this day, hey Tori, I spent most of this day and this week just watching movies, because I was in a lot of pain with my endometriosis. I told you guys that on Tuesday, and I was just like, you know what, like, I can't be on here as much. I would love to, so I just had to take time away. Definitely journaling, and I realized, TBH, I'm not someone who likes to journal like pen and paper. So I
Mhm.
was like, I'll type it out. So I started, like, typing dear God letters to God, because I just felt like that worked for me a little bit better, because I'm always on the computer and I type faster and I think faster than I write. So I just like type it out. But those are two things that I do in terms of tools for my mental health.
Got you. For me, like you said, like journaling, it's crazy because I'm a blogger, but
Yeah.
journaling for me is just not like I feel like it's because I'm trying to force myself to sit there and write something. So I just have to
Mm-hmm.
let it come when it comes.
Yeah.
Um, but for me, like I was talking about, part of my mental health issues came from not loving myself and feeling
Mm-hmm.
like I wasn't loved. So for me, literally surround myself with people that love me. So like you were saying, your
Mm-hmm.
family, like my family, I can be having the worst day, and
Yeah.
then we have like Sunday dinners or
Mm-hmm.
brunch or something, and I go over there and it's like it never happened. Like you said, it never happened.
Yeah.
But I also had to learn to accept the love that was being
Mm-hmm.
given to me, because in the midst of me not loving myself or not feeling love, when people tried to show it, I would reject it. So
Mm-hmm.
learning to accept love is a huge part of my what I use to help me with my mental health. And also there are negative coping mechanisms. Like
Yeah.
everybody always talks about coping. One of my negative ones was I used to sleep, because sleeping,
Mm-hmm.
like when you're asleep, you don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
And I mean, that is a way to cope, but it's not the
Yeah.
healthiest. Like it's not a productive place. So did you have any negative coping mechanisms before
Mm-hmm.
you discover your positive ones? And if so, how did you realize that they were negative?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Um, and again, like, I'm really open, honest, and candid. I would eat, like, excessively eat. I'm so much better now because, you know, I've learned my body in terms of, like, that's not good for me and it's painful for me. So I'm really good in terms of that. But I used to eat a lot. I used to drink and smoke a lot. Like, not just drink to just be like, oh, I have like a little. No, I would get drunk. Like, I would get drunk, and my best friend one day, and I mean, this changed the entire thing. She said, "Why do you do this? Like, why are you getting drunk?" And she was like, "There has to be a reason." And I said, "I would get drunk just to be blackout drunk." And so again, it was a moment for me because, again, when you're living with fibromyalgia, when you're living with endometriosis, any form of chronic illness, you're in constant pain. People may not see it. People don't, you know, you don't talk about it as much because it's something you live with every single day. So those moments that I could just drink to get blackout and I didn't feel anything but a hangover, I was like, I'm all for this because that's the only thing I felt. Yeah. And I realized I was so unhealthy and I wasn't enjoying the drink. And I was like, you know what, if I'm going to drink, so technically I was sober. I was sober from April until a couple of weeks ago. But I only had a sip of a drink and I was like, I'm good. You know, like, I'm now more of a casual drinker. But again, before, I would just get blackout drunk and not want to feel anything. Like, I just wasn't there. So I definitely think those were negative coping, you know, mechanisms and tools that I was using just ineffectively.
So a lot of people, like a few people were asking me when I first started Freedom Revamp, they were asking what type of topics I would cover and why. Like, that was one of the main things my sister asked me. She was like, because they have to be relevant to the topic of freedom. So why do you think talking about mental health is important to a freedom journey? Why do you think taking care of your mental health is important?
Yeah. So I think that taking care of your mind, taking care of, again, your mental health and having these proactive steps, it really provides you this opportunity. We talked about this yesterday, the intentionality of space. Yeah. And so I've created a safe space for me in which, again, the outside world can be like burning down, but I promise you, and I said this, I think, on one of my stories, I will steam my face. Like, that's a mindset thing for me, and it's a habit for me. It's clearing for me. It clears my pores, and it's my time for me to think, just me and whatever activity I'm doing, not just me and everything else, right? So I created very intentional habits that are proactive and that really help me in terms of articulating what I want. Yes, I'm going to get mad. Yes, I'm going to get angry. Like, that's inevitable. We're human, right? But I'm more conscious of it now and understanding, like, okay, if you got an attitude, that's not my problem. I'm just going to walk away. I'm going to act like, no, you know? And again, instead of being reactive and being like, oh, so you got an attitude, now I'm going to have an attitude. Understanding, like, I can't do that, you know? Like, what is it? How is this protecting your peace? Or is it not? And if it isn't, then I need to let it go and walk away. And that's what freedom provides, that free will, that choice to choose my peace over whatever temporary situation.
Yes, I love that. Y'all, I just, you always bring everything that we are needing to hear. So, for me, I always think about what ifs, and it's not good to think about them, but sometimes it is because it can help you prepare if you do it in the right way. So if you ever find yourself back in a space where you're like, this is not the mentally well version of Maya, what will you do to help yourself get out of that space and into your more free space?
Yeah, that's a good question. I asked this question on Tuesday. Who am I supposed to be in order to be successful? And I ask myself that. And I say, because I know who successful Maya is, because, you know, my success is freedom. That's always what it's been. So my version of me in my head that is successful takes care of her mental health, is proactive in her mental health, and understands that every situation in life is temporary. Every single thing, right? And understanding, like, you're gonna get through this. You're going to go through rough patches, but you're resilient. And so speaking words of affirmation, definitely asking myself that question, and then taking a step back to rest and then reevaluate and then take action. I'm not the type of person like, okay, I'm gonna write this down and then I'm gonna take action. I need to meditate on it, rest, and like then I'll go forward.
Yes, yes, love all of that. So to kind of piggyback off of that, if
Yeah.
there is someone who's watching this right now that maybe hasn't been taking care of their mental health, what tips would you give to them to start working on their mental health journey?
Yeah, that's a good question. I definitely would say you, wherever you are, grant yourself grace. Um, don't attach your mental health to any sort of shame or guilt. You may not be in the right place, and that is okay, because there's a learning lesson in that season and in that time period that you're in. Things may be hard, things may be tough, but you're alive. And so, again, I like to break things down in terms of very, very simple. If you are, you're like, I don't have no money, I'm just not going anywhere, whatever you're thinking, whatever thoughts are coming to the surface, the only thought that I want you to think right now is I'm alive and I'm breathing, and leave it at that. I think oftentimes we think, again, like we need to be taking action, but the simplest action we can take is reminding ourselves that we're alive. And the meaning behind you being alive means that your purpose on this
Yeah,
earth is not done. So if you choose to rest and watch Netflix all day, then that's fine. Because there might be a lesson in that. And that lesson might be, you know what? Entertainment is a great form of relaxation for you, or it's not a great form of relaxation for you. Watching Netflix for me is. I'm literally way more creative when I'm, plugged into the entertainment world. Huge, because I grew up on that. But I learned that, right? And I granted myself that grace. So I definitely say just start simple, start small, and be like, I'm breathing, I'm alive. Sorry, I'm alive. I'm breathing, I'm alive, and that's all that matters.
yes. I think that's a huge tip to take away because
Yeah.
there were moments where I was like in my darkest phase where I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I do not want to wake up in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally don't want to be able to breathe in the morning.
Yeah.
And so the next day, obviously I woke up, guys. But
Yeah.
just knowing that there was still breath in my lungs and that for me meant
Mm-hmm.
you're not finished.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, like you may be in this moment right now,
Yeah.
but I feel like God loves me too much to let me go
Mm-hmm.
through something without it having a purpose.
Yeah.
So that dark phase that you're going through right now, if you're watching this, that dark phase that you're going through right now or that you may go through in the future, it's for a purpose. Like I went through all of that. Maya went through all she went through so
Yeah.
that we could both be here right now. So
Yeah.
that you could be here right now watching this. And I think if like you don't take anything else away from this conversation,
Mm-hmm.
that's something to take away is that the breath in your lungs is for a purpose. You might be in a dark moment right now and
Yeah.
someone sees you, like, you know how when you're walking in the store and you smile at someone,
Yeah.
like you might smile at someone and they're going through hell,
Yeah.
and that smile is like, wow, that just made my day a little brighter. So just go through life knowing that your breath and your life and you have a purpose.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
That was good.
But I did want to open up the floor because I didn't have any more questions. But if you had anything else to share, you can. And if anyone has questions, you can drop them in the comments.
Yeah, I mean, definitely for me, in terms of mental health, especially for women of color, is being, we talked about this yesterday, talked about this Tuesday, just being intentional in your journey and understanding not everyone is going to be part of that aspect of your journey.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's going back to your platform, the Freedom Revamped, is creating that freedom, is that intentionality. And I absolutely love that. And I love the opportunities that you provide for so many women to talk about their freedom, and to really explore what their freedom means to them, because it's very, very personal. So understanding that, and, same goes with your mental health.
Agreed. I keep talking about where you can find freedom. So I think today I'm going to say that you can find freedom in healing.
Yeah.
I think that's where I'm going to go with that. But I do not see any viewer questions. Someone said Exodus 23, and I'm going to read that.
Okay.
What verse? Or is it like the whole chapter?
Yeah, let us know down below. Oh, 23, 25.
20. All right, and it says, oh, okay. Worship the Lord your God, and his blessing will be on your food and water. I will take away sickness from among you.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And my mom talks about that a lot. She talks about, like, even in your dark moments, worship him because, I mean, she just tells me to do it, so I do it. And I do notice that he heals, so it can
Yeah.
get better.
No, that is so important. And I like to say, like, people always think worship is just singing and just gospel music, but worship could be prayers, it could be crying out to him, it could be journaling, whatever it is for you. I like to say everything in terms of your faith and your walk with God is super personal. And I definitely think worshiping him, and I don't know if it was, who was it? It was my friend. She was talking about something, and she literally said the best thing. She said, your relationship with God is like a partnership. And understanding that there needs to be work to be done in order to see the fruits of that relationship, to see the fruits of that partnership. And it's not like a give relationship with God. It's like give and take. That's why you tithe, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're serving his kingdom. And I think that it's super important, you know, if you are, again, on your mental health journey, you're a Christian, definitely find solace in his word, but understanding that his word is beyond the book, you know, the Bible.
Yeah.
It can be in, like, one of my favorite songs is by Israel. It's Jesus at the Center. I love that because that's literally everything that I feel, you know, has really saved me, is like Jesus is at the center of it all. And if I keep him there, like, everything else just doesn't matter.
Right.
And another verse is Revelations 21:4. That has saved me one too many times. I mean, when I'm in the darkest of darkest moments and I'm thinking and I'm having those suicidal thoughts, I cite those over and over and over and over again. It is the most comforting thing. I know for some people it may not be comforting because Revelations can sometimes not be the most comforting.
Right. Ooh. Yes.
But that one, I don't know if you have it pulled up, but that one,
I do.
too good.
So this is the New International Version.
Okay.
But it says, he will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain, for the old order of things has passed away.
Yeah. I love that because it just reminds me that, again, things are temporary. And again, like, you're talking about, like, you know, everything going away. But I'm talking about if you apply it to your life, your finances can change.
Yeah.
Your tears could be tears of laughter instead of tears of sadness. And understanding that things can be taken from you just as quickly as you've been put into that situation. And so when I'm hearing that, I hear it as, one, I have not eternal damnation, but I'm going to one day be with God, God willing, right? And then also he's going to remove whatever I can't carry. And that's why they always say, drop it at his feet. And again, like, when I'm reciting those words, I always say, God, I'm dropping it. Like, I can't do this. Because my strength, human strength, will not get you through. Right. I don't care what nobody says, but your human strength will not get you through anything. That's only God. And I always tell people, you have to realize everything that you've done, it has been because of God. He has blessed you to put you in those situations. He's blessed us to put us in the situation to be on this live. That's not us, right?
Right.
Because he's provided us those tools, that awareness to be in this situation.
100% agree. PJ Morton has a song called Let Go. Well, a lot
Mm.
of artists have, done renditions of
Yeah.
it. But he did one with the Walls group, and
Mm-hmm.
when Raya, one of the Walls group singers,
Mm-hmm.
when she did her verse, she literally said, "Take your hand off of it and let God be God." So,
Mm.
like, sometimes we'll try to fix things on our own,
Yeah.
and God is like, if you just place it at my feet and let me do
Mm-hmm.
what I do because I am God,
Yeah.
then, I'll work it out. But sometimes we're like, we want to rush it, we want to fix
Mm-hmm.
it ourselves, and we can ultimately end up doing more damage by doing that.
Yeah.
So, yes,
I completely agree. Completely agree.
yes. But I have loved this conversation with you. It was so amazing. I hope everyone who watched this got something out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I do want to ask you, I always ask my guests when I interview them on IG Live to, like, if you want to shout out your platform. I know we talked about your platform,
Mm-hmm.
or if you want to shout out another platform that could guide them in their mental health journeys, then you have the time now.
Yeah. Okay. So I definitely love to share and amplify the voices of other communities and other amazing people. Dr. Ebony, on mine, that's her, her platform. I can send it to you, Kourtney, so you could just tag her. But Dr. Ebony, actually, give me a second. I'm going to show you. Because I believe in this so much. I have her therapy cards.
Ooh.
Right? So you
Mhm.
pick from the therapy cards, and they're different categories, if you notice, like different things. And then you just pick from it and you see what comes out of it. So like we have a mindset card here. So this is by a Black woman. She's actually about to launch her teen card. So just 14, so if you're a little bit younger. But these therapy cards are absolutely amazing. On the back of them, you can write something. And they're just so great. And it's just, look at that. Just the design. It's just
Yes.
amazing. By a Black woman, y'all. It's just amazing. So I am going to shout her out.
Awesome. Well, I will definitely put her information in the description as well as yours. But thank you so much, everyone who watched, and thank you
Yeah.
again, Maya, for your time. I love having conversations with you.
Yes, girl.
Yes. But until next time, that is all.
All right. Bye.
Bye.